What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show. I have a very special guest, and I think it's going to be a fun show here because, one, it's Grant Cohn, and all you guys know who Grant Cohn is, one of the premier 49er reporters out there, especially on the YouTube platform. But it's also Eagles versus 49ers in the NFC title game. Grant, I've done a lot of, get to know your enemy sort of interviews over the course of this season. This is way different because this is the NFC freaking title game where one of us is going to go home really upset and one of us is going to go to the darn Super Bowl. And the cool thing is we're both going to be there, although you're working the game and I'm just going to be a casual fan.
Yeah, you're a fan. I'm working the game. If the Niners lose, I won't be upset. If they win, I'll be happy because I do want to cover another Super Bowl. It's a lot of fun. But if they lose, I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay.
I'm ready.
You're not going to be upset a little bit, just a little bit if they lose?
For selfish reasons. I want to cover a Super Bowl. I'd love to spend a week in Arizona. But, I mean, I only root for myself. I'm the most selfish person you've ever met.
I think you're a fascinating follow on Twitter, and I've been following you kind of, not a shadow Twitter follower, but following you for the past couple of years. You've been critical of Kyle Shanahan at times, and I think rightfully so. I think there have been times where the national media will say Kyle Shanahan is the greatest coach who can never be criticized ever, and you'll go, wait a second, this decision was a little weird. What do you do with Kyle Shanahan if he loses another NFC title game?
Oh my God, it would be disastrous, right? I mean, he was asked about it today by Jason Cole, and he was asked, like, are you is there some lingering frustration about your losses in the past? And Kyle, levitated out of his seat and was really defensive, which means, that's still a major sticking point. And he could win the Coach of the Year. Yeah. He could get all the accolades. He could have the number one offense. Nothing really matters. He's got everything checked off his resume except for the big one. And he's had major collapses in the fourth quarters and second halves. So it's not just that he hasn't sealed the deal. It's that he's fumbled at the goal line multiple times. He's like Russell Wilson throwing the interception at the goal. You know what I mean? That's him. Yeah. Yeah. And that's all anyone really knows about him, except for the diehard football purists that watch the film, or the people that are in the media that know his dad really well and are just, he's charming. He's a nice guy. I like Kyle. I've covered him he's a nice guy. Yeah. He's nice to cover. He's not, Harbaugh was tough. He's quite easy. But, if he loses this game, it's going to be well, there we go. It'll kind of almost cement his legacy as being a high-level loser.
You mentioned the casual fan, like I just mentioned with the national media. They look at Kyle Shanahan. He wins a ton of games. He has a very good offense. What's not to like about him? But what you just said there, Russell Wilson at the goal line, this is yet another chance to lose an NFC title game. And if it were to actually happen, he's not going to be fired. But it does kind of make you wonder, can he actually get over the hump? And that's another of one of the many underlying storylines going into this football game that I don't think a lot of people will talk about because, again, most NFL coaches don't go to the NFC title game once in their entire career. Most of them, they can barely even get there or even get close enough to getting there. Most franchises can't even do it. And yet the fact that you get there a bunch and they're not able to get over the hump, it kind of brings me back to Andy Reid in Philadelphia. Maybe one of the main reasons why Philly eventually moved on from one of the greatest head coaches of all time with a ton of success in Kansas City was we got tired of going to 5 NFC title games and only winning one of them. It gets a little bit old. So fascinating little understory that I think a lot of people won't realize going into this one, Eagles and 49ers.
Well, there's one more thing with him. It's been a defense-led team for a very long time. He's the head coach, but it's really been a defense-led team. The last 2-3 months, the offense has been prolific. But in this last game against Dallas, it wasn't. Again, they won with defense, and you're wondering, they lost in the Super Bowl scoring 20 points. They lost last year in the NFC Championship scoring 17 points. So it's usually the offense that kind of falls apart at the end. And Kyle gets a lot of credit for, look at how good he's doing with this backup quarterback or this quarterback who's not that talented. And it's yeah, man, that's great. But are you ever going to get the quarterback you need? Is Brock the guy you need? Is Lance will you ever find that guy? You've been here for a very long time. So far right now, Brock looks great. But here comes the big test. Rookies never made it this far. The same questions persist with Kyle Shanahan.
That was going to be my next question when you mentioned Brock Purdy. No, you're good. Purdy, to me, is one of the most interesting case studies in recent NFL history because, like you said, rookie quarterback finally in a very, very big game. He's played in some big games. I saw today on ESPN they were saying, oh, this is easily the first test of Brock Purdy all year long. It's no. He's been in some games where it's you win or go home. You can make the case last week was still a very big game for Brock Purdy. They just rolled a division rival. I just can't seem to get it in my head that he's going to win another game and then win another game and win a Super Bowl. And it's to me, eventually there's got to be a point where a guy being a rookie quarterback, being a 7th-round draft pick, coming out of the Big 12 where it's not like he was, the best quarterback in the entire Big 12, the lights have got to get a little too bright for him. Do you feel the same way, or is there something different about this kid that we're all just missing?
I don't know. I mean, we were just talking about Kyle, right? To me, I'm more concerned about the lights being too bright for Kyle. Kyle's the one with the track record of falling apart when the lights get too bright. Let's look back at last week's game against Dallas, okay? 19 points. What happened on offense? Well, in the first half, everyone said the Niners were going to run right through Dallas, right? Dallas, good pass rush, good DB, can't stop the run. Watch out for Christian McCaffrey. Here comes Christian. Here comes Kyle. 11 carries, 27 yards in the first half. What the hell happened? That's not Brock's fault. I mean, while that was going on, Brock was running for his life, trying to make something out of nothing, sort of keeping the offense afloat while the defense kept the team in the game. My question really is Kyle Shanahan's run game going to work against Philly? I mean, of course, you can wonder, is Brock Purdy going to fall apart and throw 3 picks? But so far, he's been shockingly consistent. A very good game manager. And he's gotten a little lucky with some passes that could have been picked, but he doesn't make bad decision where it's like, man, you threw that right at that guy and he dropped it. It's like, well, it got tipped and he probably should have picked it off, but frankly, it wasn't a bad call. I actually trust the maturity and the poise of that 23-year-old quarterback over that 43-year-old head coach. I do. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm cynical. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. Okay, so let me ask you this about the quarterback situation, because that's going to be a main theme for your channel whenever the Niners season ends, whether it's Sunday or 2 weeks from Sunday or whatever it is. Let's say they lose the NFC title game. I'll give you two scenarios. Lose the NFC title game and then make it to the Super Bowl. Is it either way Brock's the guy? Is it if they lose and Brock looks bad for the first time on Sunday, then there's maybe a quarterback competition with Trey Lance? What do you think goes down in San Francisco, win, lose, or draw at the end of this year?
It's hard to say. It's hard to take him out of the starting spot at this point.
Yeah.
If he loses this weekend, he lost to the best team in the league, and it's his first loss ever. Yeah. And you'd be like, you know what? That's unacceptable, Brock.
Get out of here.
Get him out of here. This freaking bum. No, but I think it's fair to be like, let's see what happens in the game. If he loses, is he the main reason? Does he look really limited? Because the whole idea with Trey is he's supposed to be unlimited, in terms of skill set, and that's a project you want to undertake because look at the quarterbacks who are left, right? I mean, they're all so talented. There's nothing Jalen Hurts can't do. There's a lot that Brock Purdy can't do. So maybe he'll win in spite of that. But I think what the Niners will probably do is say all the right things about Trey and call him a starting quarterback, but just they'll keep Brock in that role until he either falls apart over an extended period of time or gets hurt. And then Trey eventually will get his chance, and we'll see how he does. But Brock set the bar pretty high at this point. And I don't see how you bench him after one career loss in the NFC Championship game to the Eagles. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost have a little bit of sympathy for you. It's a different scenario, but this feels kind of Nick Folesy back in 2017 because now Trey wasn't balling out whenever he got injured, right? He was kind of slowly coming into his zone, whereas Carson Wentz was balling out. But still, you insert this guy, Nick Foles, Brock Purdy, they're not supposed to be here at all. They're not supposed to be this good, and Nick was the exact same way, did not turn the football over. That was this whole thing. Not like he was shredding defenses, although he did, I guess, the Vikings and I guess in the Super Bowl.
It was RPOs. It was RPO. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit of similarities, but then we, of course, in Philadelphia just went, okay, thank you, Nick, but we have the MVP coming off the bench now with the injury. Carson's
They can't say that with Trey. Exactly. They can't say that with Trey. He's got 4 career starts. Exactly. So they're in a conundrum. It's going to be fascinating. Yeah.
I get why they drafted him. I was fascinated of that entire draft class. Patrick Mahomes, I think, has ruined a lot of draft rooms because teams are
Josh Allen
so
too.
Scared. Yes, they're so scared of passing on these guys who are terrible in college but have all the intangibles, and now everyone's freaking out. I think yesterday I saw it was Mel Kiper's mock draft as Anthony Richardson at number 9, the quarterback out of Florida. And I did the same thing that you just did. It's like, what are we doing?
Because it's all projection. It's all projection. And what we're seeing in the NFL is you might want to take the guy who's pro ready because that way you get to take advantage of the entire rookie contract, not 2 years of it, 4 years of it.
Right.
And I mean, how much development really goes on in the NFL these days? The reps dwindle year and year. I mean, there's fewer practices, fewer reps.
Yeah.
Some coaches can do it. I mean, Kyle can't. I don't think he can. I think he's blessed to get a guy like Brock Purdy who's freaking pro ready. I think that's what Kyle needs. Some coaches, give Andy Reid, Mike Holmgren, sure, absolutely, but there's so few guys like that.
How do you view Jalen Hurts? You already hinted that I think you're going to say he's fantastic and stuff. I went into the Jalen Hurts year this year, really talking him up on camera, and I've said this on my show. On the air, I was all in on Jalen Hurts. And then secretly behind the scenes, I still was very much in on him, but there was still a little bit of like, there's no way he improves his passing game, 10% percentage points for completion percentage. There's no way he's going to bring the turnovers way, way down. And he's completely proved me wrong to the point that I am so in on Jalen Hurts now. How can you not be? He's fantastic. Do you feel the exact same way? Or do you have a little bit of recreate this year for me, Jalen, going into 2024?
I think he's fantastic. My question is, what's up with his shoulder? And I know it didn't affect his throwing in this last game, but he didn't quite seem to have the same burst or aggressiveness as a runner, which might have something to do with the shoulder. I don't know. But I think he's a wonderful player. I do think he's on the best team in the league. I mean, his offense has no weaknesses.
Yeah.
This is the best offensive line. He's got great skilled players. He's got 3 deep at running back. He's got a tight end. He's got a defense. I mean, really. So he's a little bit like Brock in the sense that they're on great teams.
Right.
A little bit like young Russell Wilson with that athleticism. But he's bigger than Russell Wilson. The question that Philly's going to have to address at some point is, do you give him $50-60 million a year? Because if you do, then there goes what? Your D-line?
D-line or A.J. Brown? Or you
a lot of stuff.
You got to pick.
So, I don't know. I mean, I feel like maybe there's 2 or 3 or 4 quarterbacks who are worth that, if that. I mean, look at Buffalo. Like, that team's looking like, it's Josh Allen against the world right now. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, but that's an issue for another day. On this team, he's perfect for what you guys want to do. He's freaking perfect.
I totally agree. Every single team who gets a good quarterback has to face this conundrum. And I go back to Lamar Jackson this year. I get that Lamar wants to get his bread, but I also get that the Ravens are like, listen, Lamar, dude, we got to get you like wide receivers. Can we afford to bring in a wide receiver? The way it's not just you running for your life and then getting hurt every single year.
Baltimore's making the right call there. I'm sorry. Yeah, and now it's going to be tough to sell that to your fans and your season ticket holders. But, dude, go take it. Lamar, go take some stupid franchise's money, man, because they're not going anywhere with you making all that money. Look at they're just going to make themselves the Cardinals.
Yeah, and the Cardinals are absolutely garbage and have been.
And they're going to be garbage for a while. Yeah. They're in trouble.
Yeah.
They're in purgatory. Yep.
NFL purgatory. A lot of teams are there, and there's no way to actually get out. And then they
because of the quarterback
get a rookie quarterback on a young deal, and they can make a couple of runs.
But those vet quarterbacks that are like top of the food chain, I mean, those are like 75% guaranteed contracts. You can't. That is franchise suicide if the guy isn't elite.
Look at the Dallas
Russell
Cowboys.
Wilson.
Dallas.
Look at Dallas. Look at Denver.
It was the perfect example. All Dak Prescott had to do was not be terrible. It was like just good probably wins that game. And there's not a lot of teams against the Niners this year where just good from your quarterback wins you that game.
Score 20 points, Dak. Don't turn the ball over twice. And he was like, no. I'm getting these 2 picks out of the way immediately. They could have been worse. You saw that pick 6 the Niners dropped at the end. It could have been worse. Dak is horrendous.
It's really sad. And there's nothing you can do because you're paying him $40-something million. And
They're problem. Good news for Philly.
It is good news for Philly.
And good news for the Niners is that the Eagles are going to the Seahawks are going to give a bunch of money to Geno Smith.
You think so? You think that they're going to keep Geno Smith?
I think they're going to I think they totally buy into that sentimental story up there. It's a great story, but miss me with giving him 4-year, 5-year contract.
It's fair. I could see that happening.
Same with Detroit. Jared Goff. They're going to do it with Jared. He's fine. He's not Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
He's not good enough. So they can, they'll tell themselves they got a good quarterback and they'll go freaking 9-8 every year. Maybe 10-7.
But see, that's the whole problem is that not everyone can beat Jalen Hurts. There's like 5 good quarterbacks in the league every single year. And then 3 of them are on teams with no defensive help. And so then the 2 that actually have a good coach and a decent defense and some weapons, they always rise to 2.
Like, look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's tough to beat right now because not only is Joe Burrow on a rookie deal, but so is Jamar Chase. Yep. But in 2 years, they'll both be 2 of the highest paid players in the league, and Cincinnati will look a whole lot different. What are they going to do? Not sign them? What do you do? That's why I just feel like the salary cap is stupid. Yeah. It's the NFL. These are billionaires. These are the most lucrative franchises in America. Why are we capping things? Spend on the quarterback. Spend on everything. Spend on everything. I don't get it. To me, all these teams have money. Yeah. It's not like baseball.
You're not the
you know what I'm saying?
There's
no A's in this league. Even the Jaguars make money.
Yeah, and the Jaguars were pretty good this year with their rookie quarterback, who they'll spend more money to put
they're going to be even better next year.
Be really good.
They're going to be next year's Eagle, dude. They give them a wide receiver.
I know.
Get them their AJ Brown. They're going to be hella good. Yeah.
Think about it. It's going to be really cool.
Yep.
How
Yep.
would you attack Philadelphia? Where's the Eagle weakness? Because Eagle fans, a lot of the just casual Eagle fans will tell you, obviously, we have no weakness. The offensive line is great. The running backs are great. The receivers are great. The tight end's great. The D line, the corners, maybe safety or linebacker. Where would Grant Cohn attack the Eagles, either offensive or defensively? Tell me where our weakness is.
Well, I mean, the stats say you want to run on them, right? But everyone knows that. I mean, you don't want to pass on the Eagles. You don't want to pass on the Eagles. So you want to run on them, but everyone knows it. The Giants tried it. It didn't work. They got some yards late in the game when they were down by 3 touchdowns, and the numbers look good, but they could not run the ball. So it seems to me like, yeah, okay, they're going to try to run the ball. Niners couldn't run the ball against Dallas last week. It's Brock Purdy. Great story, plucky competitor, but he's 6 feet. He's my height. He's 6 feet tall. He can't really drive the ball outside the numbers. He can't really throw the ball deep down the field.
Yeah.
You know Philly's going to expect either going to shut down the run, they're going to stack the box, and Darren, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So just attack their linebackers. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, Philly's expecting it. They're going to have a lot of safeties in there. I think what the Niners have to do is get Brock Purdy on the run, left and right, throwing quick passes on the run, a lot of yak. I don't know that just running McCaffrey between the tackles is going to get it done. Right. They have to have extended handoffs, screens, that kind of stuff. And even Philly's going to do everything they can to force the Niners to go down the field, which requires blocking for a long time. Maybe the Niners can do it. But, man, they don't. The Philly doesn't really look like they have a lot of weaknesses to me. But you know the team a lot better. What do you think?
You know, the running game, I think, is a way to do it. And there have been football teams that, for whatever reason, have gassed us. The Washington first loss of the year. They ran very well.
But they had some big physical freaking runners, right?
They do.
The Niners have Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
Who's great, but he's not exactly physical.
I could also see Kittle, and you mentioned dink and dunk short passes, where they go quick. They make you not be able to substitute because Philly likes to rotate defensive linemen like it's crazy. And you dink and dunk to Kittle, screen pass to Debo for 15 yards, and you just go hurry up really, really quick.
That's the same thing Philly should do to the Niners because the Niners like rotating their D linemen too. Also, the Niners will take Nick Bosa out of the game for times. They'll take Bosa and Armstead out at the same time. Yeah, that's when you take your shots deep.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's what Dallas did. That if you go back and look at their 50-yard throw to CeeDee on Sunday,
they both
Bosa's not on the game, not on the field. Yep.
Does he play 60%, 70%? What's his overall percentage of snaps being played? Because I'm trying to think because Philly has Hassan Reddick and he probably has the most amount of overall D-line snaps played, but they really spread it out very evenly. Brandon Graham will come in for a couple of reps. Then Reddick comes in. Sweat will be in there a bunch. Robert Quinn gets 3 or 4 snaps a game. I'd be fascinated to know what the snap count percentage is for Nick Bosa.
He played 54 snaps last week. That's 89%. The week before, he played 59%, which was amazing. The Niners treated that Seahawks game like it was a regular season game. They rested guys. That's how little respect they had for Seattle, which is fair. They knew. They were losing at halftime, though, but they still handled. I mean, they won by a million points. But yeah, so this is the NFC Championship game. I'm thinking Bosa should play the whole damn game. You got 2 weeks. I don't know, man. You're underdogs. You're on the road. You got 2 weeks. Play the whole game. What do you think? I think you can do it.
When I look about attacking the 49er defense, because I was thinking about this earlier today, how would I do it? They're great, obviously, everywhere. Could you make the argument you could attack them if you get one-on-one opportunities on the outside? Is that where the Niners defense is the weakest?
You want to attack them down the field.
Okay.
They've had issues with chunk plays, explosives down the field. Well, the problem is a lot of teams either don't feel they can block long enough, like they don't have the offensive line to do it, or the quarterback to do it, or the wide receiver to do it.
Right.
But Raiders did it. Stidham was like,
right.
Devontae Adams, no problem, 34 points. So all they did was throw it up. And if you got the offensive line, the quarterback, and the wide, so Philly does, And if you have a quarterback who can get out of the pocket, buy a little time, even better. So a lot of teams don't have that, and they try to dink and dunk and do 12-play drives against the Niners. Mm-hmm. It's hard. You'll get one. You'll get one in the game. Okay. And then you're waiting for Brock Purdy to turn the ball over or something. It's not going to happen. So what you need is to be really aggressive. Well, also, though, hold on. The other thing that was really interesting is the Niners lost to Atlanta. And they had a bunch of people hurt that day. But what Atlanta did was just run the ball a lot, 40 times with Marcus Mariota, and they're running 11-on-11 football.
Right.
Stay ahead of the chains. Stay ahead of the chain. Keep the Niners on their heels. It worked. And that's another approach that Philly could take because the Niners are a great fast defense, but they're fast-flowing defense. They want to attack a stationary quarterback. They want to flow to a ball carrier. But if you play, RPO game, zone read game, all of a sudden they got to stop and read and be patient. It's not what they want to do. and they can be undisciplined. Dre Greenlaw, in particular. So anyway, that's what you want to do.
No, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
That was what I was thinking earlier today. Is that the chunk plays? I think that they're just gonna drop back and do like 4 or 5 deep shots to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith just to see what happens. They did it early on in the game against the Giants to kind of, in my opinion, prove that Jalen Hurts' shoulder was okay. It was play number 2. I see that happening a lot on that early drive, just to go like 1, shoulder's still fine, and 2, try and stop AJ Brown because the guy's been electric.
Because here's the situation in the Niners secondary. You got Diamador Lenore, a rookie, second-year, 5th-round pick, who's actually had picks in the last 2 games. He's like 5'10". He gave up a 50-yard catch to CeeDee Lamb. He got roasted by Devontae Adams. I mean, teams have been going after him relentlessly the last month and a half, and he gives up big plays. Then you got Charvarius Ward, who got a big contract and has a lot of swagger and stuff, but he got roasted by Devontae Adams and then DK Metcalf 2 weeks ago, and he's been playing very conservative. Like, he's lost all of his confidence right now. And then you got Talanoa Hufanga, who kind of has been let off the hook the last few weeks, but he is just the most over-aggressive safety in the league, and he's dying to run downhill and tackle a ball carrier, even if it means giving up a potential play-action pass. So Dallas didn't test him at all. It's like they didn't even know. I would expect Philly to go to test his eye discipline. That's been the issue with him. Eye discipline, looking at the wrong. And that's one of the things about Philly and Kansas City. They really test that stuff. You know, who has the freaking ball? What is that? That kind of. And the Niners do too. Right. To their credit, but Dallas doesn't. Man, that team sucks. Good defense though.
Hey, you're gonna get a lot of fans on my show just saying those 3 words right there. That team sucks. I mean, Dallas.
What is their offense? Why does Kellen Moore get so much love, dude? That's the most vanilla offense I've ever seen.
He gets head coaching interviews every single week.
Why?
I have no idea, but he does.
Because he's an offensive coach who played in the league. Good. I get it.
I know.
That's
what are you going to do? How do you view Nick Sirianni? Because, again, you are one of the few people who cover the 49ers who will actually be critical of Kyle Shanahan from time to time. Eagle fans are a little bit iffy on Sirianni. Every now and then I say on my show because they think it's all Shane Steichen. They think that Sirianni is doing nothing, and it's all Shane Steichen, and so Sirianni just claps his hands and looks kind of motivated, which there's no way to prove. Right?
Yeah, what's the evidence behind that? What's the evidence behind that?
Right, I'm going to prove that. But that's what the critics of him will say, that it's all Steichen. I don't buy it, but I'm curious the outside view of Nick Sirianni.
I wouldn't know. I'm not. No. I'm so far away. But from what I see, I mean, first of all, Howie Roseman.
He's got to be the best.
Howie Roseman. He's very good.
Lynch
so
is
he's
good
giving.
Too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, the two of them seem to be at the top in the NFC right now in terms of understanding you don't splurge for good quarterback play. The Niners did that for a while with Jimmy Garoppolo. You guys did that for a while with Carson Wentz, but now it's like don't just spend on the rest of the team and make the quarterback's job as easy as possible. Yep. That is really smart. So as far as what Nick Sirianni's doing, I feel like him and Kyle have the easiest jobs in the league, and they get so much credit. But it's like, your job is hella easy. That being said, I mean, he took care of business. He lost one game when Hurts was healthy. You could definitely argue he was the coach of the year. From afar, though, the stuff he does on the sideline,
a little goofy, isn't it?
It's a little goofy.
It's a little
It doesn't make me mad. I just think it's like, wow, man, if Kyle Shanahan did that stuff around here,
yes,
you know what I mean. So
I think the playoff motto for Philadelphia is it's a Philly thing. I think it's Sirianni's antics on the sideline can only be when you're winning in Philadelphia and you're trying to showcase that you're part of Philadelphia. I think he's not doing it on purpose. I truly believe it's who he is. But like you said, if we were 8-9 this year, or we had lost in the first round, or lost last week, it'd be a very
he better never lose. Doing stuff like that, he better be like 13-4 every freaking year. But right now, I guess he can strut his stuff. He's that guy. He's got that team, but. I mean, I really like this scheme. Everything they do with that quarterback is like exactly what I think the Niners should do with Trey Lance. It's or what Chicago should do with Justin Fields. I mean, it is a model blueprint of how to handle the modern dual threat quarterback, and as opposed to what freaking Baltimore does.
Yep.
Just run the guy into the freaking ground. He's hurt at the end of the year. Like, no, I think what they do in Philly is the blueprint. It's great.
I totally agree. If I was Justin Fields, I'd just take all the Eagle game film and bring it to my offensive coordinator and be like, let's just do this. Literally the exact same thing, and then we're good. We're done.
That's why when people are like iffy about Justin Fields, I'm like, just picture him on the Eagles.
Right.
Tell me he couldn't do that.
Right.
He could do it. He could freaking do it. Yeah. Trey Lance too. So it's you got to think about that when you're judging quarterbacks. So much depends on the team they're on.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. Yep.
You mentioned earlier it'd be your first time at the link. You're gonna be obviously working, so you're gonna be in a press box. Whereas I'm like as high as you could possibly be screaming. You've been to a lot of NFL stadiums, though. I've been to a few, not as many as you. Lincoln Financial Field, I've been there for playoff games and regular season games. It's not that loud during regular season games.
Okay.
It's completely different in the postseason.
Okay.
I'm very curious what you think is the loudest stadium you have been to in the best crowd atmosphere. Is it Man? Is it Seattle?
Yeah, that's a good one, although it's not quite what it used to be. Let's say
Okay.
that. Because, I mean, when they were a juggernaut, it was intense.
Right.
Actually, funny enough, by far the best crowd this year. Not even close. Mexico City.
Really?
They were phenomenal.
Okay.
They put American crowds to shame, man.
Wow.
They were cheering like it was a World Cup match. They were like bloodthirsty. I mean, they couldn't get enough. Something happened. There was the they were cheering all the way through from the beginning, like when the players came out just to warm up to the end. And in the halftime show, they had a Mexican band. They call it Banda. Okay. I didn't know what it was. Anyway, for whatever reason, I think maybe the singer was wearing a Cowboys jersey. Serious Niner fans in Mexico City. They booed them off the stage.
Really?
Booed them off the stage. I was like, man, this is great. So, yeah, they got to put a team in Mexico. But here's the thing. So, the Niners really haven't left the West Coast in a long time. They had a really easy schedule with a lot of short trips. And a lot of times, they go on have a road game, but it's all Niner fans. Yeah. Vegas, all Niner fans. L.A., all Niner fans. Mexico City, that was supposed to be a Cardinals home game. All Niner fans. So, this is like really the first. Brock Purdy played in Seattle. But again, it's not the same Seattle. This is the first real road game he's played in. And again, Seattle's close, but this is different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but it does make sense. Seattle during the Legion of Boom years was a completely different animal. Completely different animal.
Yes. And I think some people feel that they pipe in noise or that it reverberates or that somehow it does. It's like, but whatever. It's just really freaking loud.
Okay. Well, I'm curious. I'm going to message you after the game, and I'm curious your honest opinion of how loud Philly is. Because I heard that 2017, because I almost went to the NFC title game, but was in college and very broke, couldn't afford it. I heard that was the loudest, like, any stadium, any Eagle game had ever been, and they're saying this is going to be as loud. So we'll see. Let
me ask you this: do you know what the breakdown's supposed to be like? Are there going to be a lot of Niner fans? Niner fans travel well.
I have heard that there will not be, but I have absolutely no idea. You know what's so weird? This is like completely off topic, but kind of on topic. Everyone on Twitter is complaining that you go to Ticketmaster to get Eagles tickets when they release them after winning on Saturday, and they're in a 2,000 person queue. Do people not understand you can go to Ticketmaster or SeatGeek or any of these other places and get your tickets before the game? Like, literally, before the NFC title game, I got my tickets. Before the divisional round game, you can buy your tickets, buy your seat, and then if they lose, they just refund you the money. I saw. I
had no idea.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter, and people are like, I can't go to the game because I'm number 2,000 in the queue for section 300. And I'm like, I got my ticket a week ago. What are you guys talking about?
Sounds like Niner fans secretly didn't expect to beat Dallas.
I have no idea. I
don't know.
A little PSA for people. Like, you can buy Super Bowl tickets right now, and that's different. But you could
see, because when I was in Seattle, like a month and a half ago, to me, that felt like it was a 50-50. There were a lot of Niner fans there. It's really close. Seattle but I mean, this is the Niners' year. Teams, their fans are traveling, but this is a tough one. Philly's hella far. It's an expensive trip. It's cold, and apparently they didn't understand how Ticketmaster works. So this could be a real, like, the first real road game the Niners have had all year since Denver.
And that's
week
not
3.
Really, yeah. I guess Denver. The Bronco fans week 3 were still kind of hopeful, but
Chicago week 1 in the rank. I was gonna say Atlanta. No, Atlanta. There were like 7 Atlanta fans there.
Yeah,
they really.
I live in Atlanta. I used to cover the team. There's not a lot of people there. Although they are
like, if Georgia Southern's playing, that's different.
They will be there for sure.
Yeah.
Although I did see a rumor today that if Lamar Jackson becomes available, that Atlanta's going to take a run at him. So they tried to get Watson. That'd be fun.
I think it would be smart just to get a freaking fan base.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Paying the money. Arthur Smith likes mobile quarterbacks. Go for it. I'll do one more, and then I'll let you go. This has been great. AFC title game. To me, if Mahomes is healthy, I think this is a close football game. Mahomes is not healthy. High ankle sprains are absolutely no joke. And the fact that he was limping basically on one leg and still out there until Andy Reid said, dude, go get this x-rayed. I'm not going to play you. Puts a giant kind of asterisk by their chances in the AFC title game. I think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in football right now. And I think the fact that he had 3 missing offensive linemen against what is still a very good Von Miller-less defensive line for the Bills in the snow, and they touched him once, To me, this screams Joe Burrow's year. I think it's be the Bengals in the Super Bowl for sure.
I'm a little concerned about that offensive line going up against Chris Jones and Frank Clark. Chris Jones, I don't watch the Chiefs that much, but whenever they play the Niners, Chris Jones, holy, he's a game wrecker.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I mean, I watch Aaron Donald twice a year. I feel like Chris Jones is better, or at least a tougher matchup for the Niners, because they're on the different ends of the great spectrum in terms of skill set. One's big, one's kind of small. Like, Chris Jones is just so freaking big, and the Niners don't have they don't. They just don't have big, strong guards like you guys do. Yeah. So that's a tough one for them. He could take over that game. Frank Clark could take over that game.
Okay.
But if Mahomes can't, they lost. It just feels like as long as Burrow and Chase are this cheap, Higgins too.
Yeah.
They're going to be tough to beat. That's kind of a super squad.
Who would you rather play? If the Niners beat Philadelphia, you had your pick. Who is a better overall matchup for your 49ers? Because I think that Philly has a better chance against Kansas City than they do against Burrow and the Chiefs. That's just me. If I had to pick, I would take Andy Reid in a one-legged Patrick Mahomes versus Joe Burrow. And I might regret that, but that's who I would pick.
Look, I've seen Joe Burrow in person. He's a very good quarterback. I thought he was a very good quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback I've ever seen.
Okay.
Ever.
Good point.
But in person, ever. Maybe Hurts will change my mind. So also Andy Reid with 2 weeks to prepare against D'Amico. Nothing against D'Amico, but D'Amico doesn't do a whole lot schematically. Okay. The Niners on defense are a lot about like keeping it simple and rallying to the ball and that kind of stuff. So Andy Reid destroyed the Niners earlier this year. Just eviscerated them. Right. So and one of the things they have that Cincinnati doesn't is a good offensive line. And if you don't have a good offensive line against the Niners, you're just fighting uphill the whole freaking game. Cincinnati, Burrow got sacked. Remember, they played each other last year. Went to overtime. Burrow got sacked like 5 times. So I think, honestly, the Niners don't want to face the Chiefs, even if the dude's on one foot. They don't want to face him.
You're like convincing me to take that back and want to play the Bengals or want to play the Bengals instead of the Chiefs because I just said I wanted to play the Chiefs. But
I don't think the Bengals can block your defense at all. At all.
Okay, that's a good
and look, I know Buffalo's got some guys, but not like you.
That's true.
Without Von Miller, it's different.
Yeah, I totally agree. Grant, this has been great. I would love to do this again at some point. I've been watching you from afar for a while. You do fantastic stuff covering the 49ers, and the fact that we're playing each other was just me a great opportunity to jump on here and chat it up. I wish I could say hi at the stadium, but again, you'll be in a nice, comfortable, warm press box. I'll be up freezing my butt off, like way up at the top screaming. So maybe you'll hear me. Who knows? But have fun in Philadelphia this weekend.
Absolutely. This was a lot of fun, man. Great show.
All right, man. Talk to you later.